And finally tonight, as Melbourne's suburban fringe continues to change and grow, a castle on the western outskirts has largely remained the same for 150 years. Over Newton Castle in Keilor was once the residence of a 13,000-acre farm and has only ever been owned by 3 families. Its latest owner still lives there and he showed me around. It's a rare Melburnian who can say they live in a castle.
This is my wardrobe here, so I'd like to show you. It's part of a turret. If you walk into here, and as you know, you throw everything on the floor in a turret.
Owning and restoring Over Newton Castle has been half a lifetime's work for Dr. Les Norton. He bought the property in 1975 and knows every detail.
Here we're looking at an 1859 bathroom.
It still works?
It still works, still used several times a day, every day.
There's even a panic room when this area of Melbourne really was the Wild West.
They could lock themselves in so they could protect themselves from the bushrangers or anyone else that was chasing them. It was in a fairly deplorable state with the paper hanging off the walls as the water had run through because the gutters had rusted out. But we could see the potential and we felt it was a sort of a warm, friendly place.
The building began as a simple bluestone homestead built by pastoralist William Taylor in 1849. 10 years later, inspired from a trip back home to Scotland, he added another wing in the Scottish baronial style.
And here we have the Maribyrnong River Valley and the market gardens. I like to come and show people that there were juvenile delinquents and people doing the wrong thing in early times. So if you look down here, there's Bert, the 2nd of the 1st, 89. So that's 1889. That person scratched their name into the wall here. So here, this is a very good example of a very complex roof with lots of gutters to clean out on a regular basis.
And the maintenance on a property this size is considerable.
There's up to 36 rooms in the house, so hide and seek was all day long.
Emma Stott is one of Les Norton's 5 children.
When I was little, my bedroom was at the end of the hall, and you know, if you had to go to the toilet, I used to always run the hall going, don't look through the doors, don't look at the doors. Friends from school wouldn't come and they'd come to stay and never stay the night. They'd always want to go home about 9:30 and get their parents to pick them up.
Dr. Norton raised his children largely as a single father, while working full-time as a doctor, renovating the property and running a wedding reception business.
I used to dress the 5 children while they were asleep in their bed, and then when it was time to go, I just pushed them onto the floor, and then they'd wander off and get their food as they got into the car, and we drove off to school.
Now, one of those children runs the wedding business, something Emma Stott was fascinated by as a child.
Most of all, used to love peeking at the weddings. We would go from window to watch the weddings and watch the bride and groom. Now still working the weddings and enjoying it, running from window to window, still peeking.
Dad painting.
Joan Mackenzie is another little girl who grew up in earlier times at Over Newton Castle. She had a governess, stables, and when her brother went to boarding school, she was the only child for miles.
I used to ride my pony up to Sydenham to pick up the mail, so that was 4 miles there and 4 miles back, and there was never anybody on that road. It was just me on Billy.
Mrs. Mackenzie is the great-great-granddaughter of William Taylor, the castle's original owner.
My mother had grown up here too, yes, and my great-grandfather built the house for his wife, who was only 16, and he was 30.
Scandalous.
Yes, scandalous, really.
Joan Mackenzie recalls a happy childhood and has vivid memories of World War II, when her father went off to fight.
It was really very quiet here when Dad went away, but it was still a working farm. We were always always very busy. We're always sweeping up in the courtyard or sweeping the verandas or out riding. So we got up very early and we worked a long day. We had an air raid shelter under the house. So under the veranda we used to practice going. So the war was really very real to us.
The property was in Joan Mackenzie's family for 110 years. She treasures her memories of it.
I get very excited about coming back here because I really love it. Even though I don't live here and don't own it, I still think it's my old home.
You used to have a big piece of circular wood here.
And the man that does now call the castle home hopes it stays in his family for at least another generation.
I've got no intentions of leaving, although it's a big room, because I've got so much collections here. I don't know what other place would take it.
And that's the program for this week.